Welcome to the Threat Insight analysis on the United States and Iran war. This video forms part of our new series, which aims to answer how society arrived at a particular situation at a specific moment in time. We call this series, How Did We Get Here? The United States and Iran war is the first topic in this series. You are welcome to contact us and submit ideas for other topics which you would like us to research and engage with. This video is part 5 of 6 and provides various forecast scenarios and a strategic outlook for Iran's future. If you have not yet viewed the preceding videos on this topic, we strongly encourage you to do so and view them in sequence to ensure maximum benefit. The first possible outcome is hardened continuity. This is the most historically consistent short-term pathway. External pressure, leadership assassination, sanctions, and regional attacks may produce internal anger, but they also allow the regime to invoke the long Iranian memory of foreign interference. In this scenario, the leadership tightens internal control. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps becomes even more central, and Iran uses proxies, missiles, cyber operations, and maritime pressure to restore deterrence without inviting immediate regime-ending war. The second possible outcome is controlled fragmentation. This would occur if the succession were accepted formally, but contested quietly by clerical, military, regional, or popular factions. The historical comparison is not the 1979 revolution itself, but the legitimacy crisis that preceded it. The state may still function, yet its moral authority erodes. Under this scenario, Iran becomes more unpredictable. Decision-making is centralized in appearance, but fragmented in practice, and local commanders or proxy partners may act with greater autonomy. The third possible outcome is negotiated survival. Iran has historically compromised when pressure threatened the continuity of the state, provided the compromise could be framed as preserving sovereignty rather than surrendering it. A fragile ceasefire, or memorandum of understanding, could therefore hold if it allows Tehran to retain symbolic dignity, some strategic capability, and a path to economic relief. The risk is that any agreement perceived domestically as humiliation could trigger backlash from hardliners, just as earlier concessions to foreign powers fed nationalist resentment. The fourth possible outcome is revolutionary rupture, but history cautions against forecasting it too quickly. The fall of the Shah shows that regimes can appear strong until legitimacy collapses, but it also shows that collapse requires more than public anger. It requires a unifying opposition, elite defections, security force hesitation, and a narrative that can replace the existing order. Unless those conditions align, pressure may intensify repression rather than produce transition. The final judgment is that Iran's future will be shaped by the same forces that shaped its past: sovereignty, identity, religious legitimacy, foreign pressure, resource control, and the balance between coercion and consent. The more external actors attempt to force rapid political outcomes, the more the regime can draw from Iran's historical memory of invasion and interference. The more the regime relies on hereditary succession, militarization, and repression, the more it weakens the revolutionary legitimacy that once gave it power. The forecast is therefore not a single event, but a contest between siege consolidation and legitimacy erosion. In the short term, consolidation is more likely. Over the medium term, legitimacy erosion becomes the greater strategic risk. The forecast, however, cannot end with Tehran alone. A war between the United States, Iran, and Israel does not remain inside the chambers of generals and diplomats. It walks into homes through the price of fuel, into markets through the cost of bread, into parliaments through public anger, and into boardrooms through the language of uncertainty. The deeper lesson is that every missile has two journeys. The first is through the sky. The second is through society. It is the second journey that often decides whether a state emerges stronger, weaker, or more divided. For the United States, the socio-political danger is not only escalation abroad, but division at home. A prolonged Middle Eastern war will likely reopen the old American argument about power, purpose, and sacrifice. At first, the campaign may be defended as deterrence, nuclear denial, or the protection of an ally. But if the conflict lengthens, if service members are killed, if fuel prices rise, and if the end state remains unclear, the public question changes. Citizens begin to ask not only whether America can strike, but why it must continue striking, what victory means, and who carries the cost. In that moment, the war leaves the battlefield and enters the election cycle, the university campus, the congressional hearing, the street protest, and the household budget. Socio-economically, the United States is protected by its own energy production, but it is not protected from the world it helps to shape. Disruption around the Strait of Hormuz, higher war risk insurance, energy market volatility, and renewed inflationary pressure can still reach American consumers through petrol, aviation, logistics, food distribution, manufacturing inputs, borrowing costs, and business confidence. The defense, cybersecurity, aerospace, energy, and critical minerals sectors may find opportunity in this storm, but the ordinary household may experience the same storm as higher prices, slower relief from interest rates, weaker disposable income, and deeper distrust of political leadership. The American risk is therefore one of translation. A foreign war may become a domestic legitimacy test if citizens experience it mainly as inflation, fatigue, and strategic confusion. For Iran, the first socio-political effect is likely to be consolidation under siege. External attack gives the regime a powerful story to tell, that Iran is not merely defending a government, but defending an ancient people against humiliation, foreign interference, and strategic encirclement. Even citizens who resent repression, corruption, economic hardship, or clerical rule may hesitate to appear aligned with foreign force when the nation itself is under attack. This is the paradox of pressure. It can weaken the state materially while strengthening its political language of resistance. In the short term, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is likely to become more central, the security state more visible, and dissent more easily described as disloyalty. Yet beneath this consolidation, legitimacy may continue to erode. If succession is seen as hereditary, if clerical authority becomes dependent on security hardliners, and if the state answers social grievance mainly with coercion, then the Islamic Republic may survive while becoming less persuasive to its own people. Socio-economically, Iran will carry the heaviest burden. Sanctions, infrastructure damage, oil export disruption, currency pressure, unemployment, inflation, shortages, capital flight, and skilled emigration will place direct pressure on households. Food, medicine, fuel, and basic services may become more expensive or less reliable. Black market activity may expand. The regime may blame external enemies, and many citizens may accept part of that explanation. But hardship has a memory of its own. If the pain becomes deeper than the story used to explain it, economic grievance can become political mobilization. For Israel, the socio-political effect is the hardening of national emergency. Direct Iranian attacks, missile threats, Hezbollah pressure, displacement from exposed communities, and the memory of October 7th reinforce a security-first national posture. In the short term, this can strengthen public support for decisive military action. But a society cannot live indefinitely at full alert without cost. Reserve mobilization disrupts families and businesses. Displaced communities place pressure on the state. Political divisions sharpen when citizens begin to ask whether tactical success is producing strategic safety. If the war does not deliver a clearer sense of security, Israeli society may divide further between those demanding escalation and those demanding a political exit. Socio-economically, Israel faces a smaller but highly exposed national system under prolonged mobilization. Defense spending rises, reservist call-ups reduce productive capacity, tourism weakens, aviation and insurance costs increase, investor confidence becomes more cautious, and the technology sector faces disruption through workforce mobilization, cyber threat, reputational pressure, and uncertainty. The cost exchange problem is especially important. If Iran can use lower-cost drones and missiles to force Israel to spend far more on interception and protection, then even successful defense becomes fiscally exhausting. The shield may hold, but every use of the shield carries a price. Over time, military resilience becomes a question of financial resilience, social patience, and political trust. The shared conclusion is that the war turns military escalation into social pressure, and social pressure into political risk. In the United States, the pressure moves through inflation, war fatigue, partisan conflict, and uncertainty about purpose. In Iran, it moves through hardship, repression, militarization, and legitimacy erosion. In Israel, it moves through mobilization, fiscal strain, displacement, trauma, and the demand for security that no single strike can fully deliver. The strongest actor may not be the one with the most advanced weapon. It may be the one whose society can carry the burden longest without losing cohesion, legitimacy, and strategic clarity. This is the end of part 5. If this briefing helped you read the signs a little earlier and see the road a little more clearly, give us a like and click the bell icon so that you're informed when we post new risk assessments, situational reports, and socioeconomic or political reviews. If you want to find out how Threat Insight can assist your organization with real-time and credible risk intelligence to help you navigate the complexity of the present instability, please reach out to our business development team who is eager to assist.